Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Virtual Universe Network, Black Dragon Mountain Island, 9-Star Bay. Luo Feng stood in the lawn of his own house. A screen appeared before him. On it appeared an incomparably tall and sturdy man. It was the Virtual Universe Company's Black Dragon Mountain Base Military Department External Affairs Mingyu. Haha, Luo Feng. Mingyu laughed carefree. His smile was very happy. Lord Mingyu. Luo Feng slightly bowed, displaying respect. I'm at the central region right now, heavily surrounded by large numbers of explorer armies. What's going on? Oh, Monopoly. On the screen, Mingyu smiled. This is a major decision from all the organizations, after the announcement from that AI in the castle. Forming an alliance army with explorers from all sides. Heavily surrounding the castle, surveillance and restricting anybody from exchanging for treasures. Oh. Luo Feng realized. That was tyranny. 10% of the army, that was almost 200,000, a 200,000-man star level 9 army restricting anyone from getting close to the castle. That was simply too easy. This way, the other explorers that were without any background, even with the Thunderstones, wouldn't be able to enter the castle to exchange for anything. However, you all shouldn't have any problems. You, Hong, and Thunder God, the three of your appearances and data have been given to my underlings and to the headquarters. So if you three go over, that 200,000 strong army will know you are the underlings of the Three-Axe Mountain Mingyu. They won't stop you. Mingyu smiled. Luo Feng let out a sigh of relief in his heart. That was indeed cautious. They actually gathered everybody's information together. The moment one wasn't on the list, he wouldn't be able to enter the Thunder Castle. Lord Mingyu, my team still has another 2 members. Luo Feng sent over Tai Nan He and Ao Gu's physical appearances and information. All right, they'll go under my name list too. Mingyu smiled. Thank you, Lord Mingyu. Then I'll first leave the Virtual Universe Network. Luo Feng bowed. Ha, right, Luo Feng, the fact that you are heading to the castle, you should have had some earnings. Mingyu asked, his eyes gleaming with a sense of anticipation. The situation in this world within a world, I'm sure you Lord Mingyu should know. Luo Feng said helplessly, with the arrival of the 2 million army, my little team of 5 doesn't have any chance of a struggle at all. On the screen, Mingyu nodded. However, we will work hard, we won't let you go disappointed. If we work hard to exchange for treasures, Luo Feng smiled, relax, I definitely won't treat you poorly. Mingyu said directly, thank you Lord. Thanks. Luo Feng smiled. The 5 drew close to the vast crowds of people. The lion head man transmitted via genetic energy, you 5, do you have any thunderstones to sell? I'm willing to purchase them at 1 thunderstone for 10 cubic meters of universe crystal. My apologies, my lord forbids any sale of it. Luo Feng glanced at him, transmitting via genetic energy, well your lord doesn't even know how much thunderstones you have. The lion head man replied, why not sell some and get some universe crystals? Let me think about it. Luo Feng smiled. After which, he led the other 4 away quickly. Watching Luo Feng and his team leave, the lion head man rubbed his huge and thick nose, scoffing unhappily. Obviously he was dissatisfied from being unable to exchange for any thunderstones. The alliance base was tight on security outside but lax inside. The external 36 security teams were cautious and prudent, however there was laughter and discussions inside. There were even a lot of secret buying and selling of the thunderstones within. As the saying goes, every man for himself, and the devil take the hindmost. Everybody was star level 9 warriors. The trades of the thunderstones were pretty rampant. Amongst the crowds, Luo Feng and his team sat around the grass field. The entire army was also scattered with everybody sitting around, many people hopping from group to group engaging in deals. That lion head guy was devious enough, saying he'd exchange for 1 thunderstone with 10 cubic meters of universe crystal. Look at the rates here. There are some saying they'd exchange with a 100 cubic meters, even 200 cubic meters for 1 thunderstone. Thunder God said dissatisfied, even though the universe crystals are valuable, but compared to the treasures, they aren't worth anything. Hong said, exchanging for treasures. Luo Feng looked at the ancient castle right in front. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. Luo Feng looked at the castle for a solid 3 hours. Within these 3 hours, he realized a peculiar thing. There would occasionally be people dressed in armor with their helmets covering their entire heads entering the castle. Within these short 3 hours, there were close to 100 of them entering and leaving. Don't tell me within these 3 hours, 100 people actually exchanged for treasures? There are only a total of 312 treasures. Luo Feng was suspicious. Ha, brother, you are wrong. A skinny monkey-like silhouette walked past and stopped, smiling as he looked at Luo Feng. Brother, the people entering the castle, 9 out of 10 of them are just going in to make a scene. One must know, this alliance army may be called an alliance, but it is still separated into little teams representing the different domain and sector lords. The 2 million-man army, the killings and chaos later will be brutal. Hence, no one wants to let anybody know that they've acquired treasures. Minutes and seconds passed. People frequently entered the ancient castle, almost all of which with full armor and helmets. No one knew just who exchanged for treasure or not. Phew. Luo Feng took a deep breath, dressed in armor and with a helmet, with only his eyes showing. He headed straight for the castle, walking out of the crowd alone towards the castle. This led to many looking over, carefully observing Luo Feng. No one could be sure whether this person heading to the castle was really going to exchange for something or not. Your Majesty, these are the Thunderstones sent from the second large team. They excavated 2 districts and killed 3 small teams. They acquired a total of 2.1 million Thunderstones. Amongst the allied army, surrounded by 8 bodyguards, the 9th Prince Brolin sat. Beside him a man respectfully handed over a space bracelet, 2.1 million Thunderstones. Brolin took the space bracelet over, softly saying, "Give the order, let the other teams all quickly send over their Thunderstones." The 3 passwords for the inheritance crystals requires a total of 30 million Thunderstones. We are still far from it. Yes, Your Majesty. The man respectfully nodded. Brolin slightly turned his head, looking at the castle. At this moment Luo Feng had just stepped into the castle, a bunch of poor ghosts. Brolin laughed coldly, exchanging for treasures, all covered up and hiding. The things they are exchanging for are ultimately those poor objects. The second item, the Sector Lord's bank account, I'm not even looking at that. Only the incomparably valuable entire space technique crystal balls, those are the most important. Compared to the other treasures, these are so much more important. Your Majesty. Another man rushed over and bowed respectfully, passing over a space ring. This is the 5th large team's Thunderstones, a total of 1.68 million Thunderstones. Brolin's eyes lit up, picking up the space ring and swiftly turning. Let's go, follow me into the castle. Right now we can exchange for one of the numbers, yes. Brolin brought 4 bodyguards with him, without even concealing his identity, walking directly towards the castle, immediately drawing the attention of countless people from the allied army. Senior, the 9th Prince His Majesty Bu Luo Lin has entered the castle. Amongst the people from Baihu Tower, Cho Yu said softly. A skinny man with silver eyes stared in the distance, snorting. The power that Bu Luo Lin has is too large. 1 is the 9th Prince. Every power under the sacred land Black Dragon Mountain supports him. 2. His grandfather has an extremely high position in the Black Dragon Mountain sacred land. Another group of people support him. Out of the 500,000 army from Black Dragon Mountain, there's 220,000 that actually respond to his command. The 2 million army. Black Dragon Mountain, Ice Neptune Country, the 2 sacred lands with their 500,000 army. The 4 organizations each had 200,000 in their army. The 16 families each had 10,000. However, the 9th Prince Bu Luo Lin, with his special background, commanded an army of 220,000 himself. This was a very united 220,000. With huge power, he split his a little more than 220,000 army into 7 large teams, each with 30,000. The skinny man snorted softly. With a team 30,000 fighting for territory, who'd be able to fight back? The allied army were all engaged in discussion. However, while many elites were feeling unfair with their position, they were only a generation of elites from the organizations, far from the position of universe-level warriors. As for the 9th Prince, with his mother's lineage and his own power, his position was much higher. If it were outside and not the exam world, Bu Luo Lin wouldn't even have any problem ordering the death of a universe-level warrior. However, this was the world within a world. Bu Luo Lin had to follow the given rules. Ancient Castle. When Bu Luo Lin entered the castle with his bodyguards, Luo Feng was already at the instruction of the castle's AI entering into a cold ancient room within the castle. In that ancient room, a dim light lit up the entire room. The scars and marks on the walls depicted the history of the castle, greenish-black stone slabs on the wall, all with a lingering odor. What do you want to exchange for, punk? A serious voice resounded within the room. The room was silent. Luo Feng surveyed his surroundings. There wasn't anyone around. Of course, exchange for treasures. Luo Feng said, "Do you have Thunderstones?" These few days there have been many who have come here on purpose but without any Thunderstones to exchange. The serious voice continued, "I do." Luo Feng waved his hand and a pile of Thunderstones the height of a person appeared. "Very good." The voice said, Footsteps could be heard vaguely from the corridor outside, following which a fat, short, and stout white-bearded old man walked in, his body emanating light. Luo Feng could see from a glance that this old man was a living AI, similar to Barbata on the Yun Mo ship from before, forming his own energy body. It's rare for someone to exchange for something. The white-bearded old man smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. How are you, old man? What should I address you as? Luo Feng was very respectful. No matter the case, the white-bearded old man before him was a living AI, one that had followed Sector Lord Kabu and lived in solitude for over 10 million years. These sort of beings deserved respect. And according to Barbata, having lived in solitude for 10 million years, this old man must have been somewhat mentally perverted. He had better not get on his bad side. Little punk, you can call me Lord Wu. The white-bearded old man smiled, the light around him slightly swirling. Lord Wu. Luo Feng was shocked. What a weird name, Lord Wu. I want to exchange for treasures. Luo Feng said. However, with such a huge area, the level of scanning was however much lower. Lord Wu, do you have to ask something like that? Luo Feng was taken aback, just asking for kicks. The white-bearded old man blinked his eyes, very casually saying, 3 treasures, all right, no problem. Luo Feng felt incomparable anticipation within. The 3 treasures were actually suggested by Barbata. According to his plan, the entire treasure list and prices were somewhat chaotic. For example, the entire Space Technique crystal balls, those were priceless treasures. Price-wise, it could be said to be 10,000 times or even 100,000 times the level 5 genetic energy weapon fire wheels. However, the fire wheel only required 100,000 thunderstones while the crystal ball's 3 codes only required 30 million thunderstones. It was a total of 300 times only. For example, the life fruit was 800,000 thunderstones, however its true price outside was akin to a sector lord's life, more than even 100 fire wheels. Hence the prices weren't synced with the outside world prices. Buying itself required skill. The level 5 genetic energy weapon Ice Soul Blade, in the outside world would be 5 to 6 times that of the fire wheel. The pressure void cauldron was about 10 times that of the fire wheel. However, in terms of exchanging, the prices weren't too different. Within the silent ancient room, the white-bearded old man covered entirely in light stood. The total sum of the 3 treasures is 1.11 million thunderstones. The old man said, Lord Wu, please keep it well. Luo Feng handed over a normal space ring. Killing along the way had gotten Luo Feng many space rings. The white-bearded old man waved his hand and the space ring flew into it, after which he smiled. Just nice, 1.11 million thunderstones. This is the level 5 genetic energy weapon Ice Soul Blade. The old man flipped his hand and immediately an entirely silver blue-colored double-tiered arc blade appeared. Immediately, the entire room's temperature dropped and the entire space's humidity began to freeze. This peculiar blade's edge was incomparably sharp. The Ice Soul Blade floated before him. Luo Feng felt like his soul was being sliced, extending his hand and keeping it in his space ring. This is the level 5 spirit weapon, Pressure Void Cauldron. The white-bearded old man flipped his hand and a pure purple, like a copper-cast little cauldron about 30 centimeters tall floated before Luo Feng. On it were large amounts of complex engravings, tens of millions of times more complex than the engravings on the soaring shuttle. It was similar to the golden engravings on the body of the golden horned beast. Within the silent ancient room, after opening the stone box within a flash, the surrounding area seemed to lose its color. Only the surface green glow from the life fruit seemed to be present and glaring. The green glow shot all over. A thick aroma that entranced people emanated throughout. The entire room was immediately filled with life energy, all emanating from the core, the life fruit. Just this one fruit, sector lords would use an entire galaxy to exchange for, with countless sector lords willing to exchange. It was incredibly valuable. Incomparably costly. Sniff. Luo Feng took a deep breath and that aroma filled his body. His every cell excitedly jumped up, as though they were eating a heavenly dish. Changes began to naturally happen within his inherited genes, his entire bone structure letting out snaps, even his muscles began to change. Idiot, quickly close it. The moment you open it, the life fruit's life energy will constantly dissipate. Barbata raged. Luo Feng quivered before awaking from the trance. He closed the stone box. Wow, it's unbelievable. Luo Feng looked at the stone box, staring wide-eyed. I only took a couple of breaths and I feel like I've evolved so much. Idiot, you're 2 breaths, you lose about 100 breaths from that. Barbata raged. Luo Feng excitedly closed the stone box. When Luo Feng was engaged in exchanging with the old bearded man, the 9th prince of the Black Dragon Mountain Brolin was in another ancient room. Within the dark ancient room, Brolin stood there smiling as he shouted, "I'd like to exchange for treasures, little punk, what's the rush?" A serious voice resounded within the ancient room, "One at a time. After this other punk is finished, I'll exchange with you, HM." Brolin's eyes gleamed coldly. One at a time, the person who entered before wasn't just putting on an act and is really exchanging for treasures? A thought appeared in Brolin's mind, following which he smiled coldly, closing his eyes and entering the Virtual Universe Network. Virtual Universe Network, Black Dragon Mountain Island. It was a huge city. In it were many palaces that were continuous, amongst which there was an inconspicuous purple palace. 2 guards stood outside this palace. Within the palace, a handsome pale-skinned man appeared on the throne. It was the 9th Prince Brolin. Dressed in mostly black, with gold embroidery around the robe, Brolin sat on the throne, immediately requesting for communication with his 9 bodyguards. His 9 bodyguards were all his slaves who were completely loyal to him. Of course there was one that died when the castle opened. Luckily the Thunder Castle's thunder didn't destroy the space ring, hence the laser gun within that bodyguard's space ring wasn't damaged. A silhouette appeared within the large palace, dressed in a black guard uniform, with greenish flame-like hair that was spiked up. "Your Majesty?" The guard respectfully knelt down. "Camelot." Brolin glanced down at his guard from high above, ordering, "There was a punk who entered the Thunder Castle just before I did, one dressed in gold armor with a helmet. He has many Thunderstones, and is currently exchanging for treasure with the Thunder Castle's living AI right now." "What?" The guard was shocked. There would occasionally be people entering the Thunder Castle, many of which were simply decoys, with very few actually exchanging for treasures. "I'm very sure he is really exchanging for treasures," Brolin said coldly, "hence I want you to keep an eye on him. Do you understand what I mean?" "Understood." The guard said respectfully, "Very well." Brolin nodded satisfied, following which his body vanished into nothing from the throne. World within world. The white-bearded old man walked into Brolin's ancient room. Brolin revealed a smile. "Little punk, what do you want to exchange for?" The white-bearded old man looked at him. "The inheritance crystal ball's first account passcode." Brolin looked at the white-bearded old man, and 1 life fruit. The white-bearded old man couldn't help but reveal a shocked expression. Luo Feng mixed into the crowds of the allied army. After wandering within for a while, finally he met up with Hong, Thunder God, Tai Nan He and Aogu. Aogu naturally spread a spirit barrier around them, preventing anyone from hearing or eavesdropping. "How'd it go?" Hong and Thunder God looked at Luo Feng. "Everything went well, according to plan." Luo Feng smiled. 1 life fruit, 2 level 5 weapons. Thunder God was elated. "That's great. 1 life fruit will let your cloud contact vine evolve greatly. That way, our little team in this world within a world won't be as tragic as before, having to flee the moment we meet any big teams. Investment first, only then will there be rewards." Hong smiled. "Third brother, you have to remember what you said. When we get another batch of Thunderstones, you have to get another life fruit for my cloud contact vine too." "Definitely." Luo Feng smiled. Thunder God rubbed his nose, glancing at Hong. "Don't expect too much. The life fruit is a good thing. If third brother exchanged for it, others might too. And there are only a total of 3 of them. By the time we get another batch of Thunderstones, who knows if there would be any left." Hong didn't bother about Thunder God's banter. This whole exchanging plan, after Luo Feng had discussed with Hong and Thunder God, they were in complete approval. That was because they didn't know before that the life fruit would be able to make the cloud contact vine evolve greatly. Even Hong said, when they got a chance later, he would also like his cloud contact vine to evolve. However, Hong's cloud contact vine was firstly much lower in grade compared to Luo Feng's. Luo Feng's cloud contact vine was currently a star level 4, while Hong's vine had just stepped into the star level 1. Hence, with the life fruit's incomparably huge amount of pure life energy, Luo Feng's vine had a larger guarantee of being able to withstand and absorb it. "Actually, from the weapons we exchanged this time, we would be able to do many things already." Thunder God was all smiles. "Right." Hong nodded. "With sufficient wealth, we can do a lot of things." Luo Feng was excited too. The Ice Soul Blade and the Pressure Space Cauldron. These were level 5 genetic energy and spirit weapons. These were weapons that only Sector Lords could truly utilize. And for Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God who were only star level, to them, these 2 weapons were no use at all. If Luo Feng used a level 5 weapon, its power would probably not even compare to using the soaring shuttle. The best weapon was one that was suitable. Hence these 2 weapons were only to be exchanged to sell. These were level 5 weapons. In the world within a world, selling them would be a huge loss, but outside, they were worth fortunes. These two level 5 weapons represented incomparable amounts of wealth. I have to think, what do I do with so much money later? Thunder God muttered, first, we have to get rid of the Nuolan Shan family. Hong said seriously, as long as they are around, we will never have peace. Luo Feng and his team of 5 were very normal within the Allied army. However, there were people secretly watching them. The Allied army had close to 200,000 people. With the characteristics of a star-level explorer, it was impossible to squeeze them together as with the soldiers of Earth. The moment a star level speeds up and accelerates, one would disappear a few kilometers away in the blink of an eye. And this was still only because of the world within a world. Hence, the space between the groups was much larger. Luo Feng's team was closely gathered, the rest were casually grouped around. And some bigger teams, their distance between each other was 1 to 2 kilometers. If they were too close, it would be harder to manage. This distance. To a star level, they could easily see each other, with a flash they could reach each other. Hence the entire Allied army was dispersed over 60 to 70 kilometers. And the powerful 9th Prince Brolin, his army was at the most central region, over 30 kilometers away from Luo Feng's team. This made it impossible for Barbata to pick up on Brolin. And Brolin's scanning systems were from the Black Dragon Mountain sacred land. Compared to Barbata's, they weren't that far off. Nightfall, the strong winds howled. Within a tent, Bu Luo Lin sat cross-legged and shut his eyes. Your Majesty. Camelot said respectfully, you haven't lost sight of that 5-man team, right? Bu Luo Lin's voice was very calm. No, Camelot said respectfully, Your Majesty commands up to 20,000 men from the Allied army. With our strategic placement around, almost the entire Allied army camp is under our surveillance, and since the entire army is only dispersed a few tens of kilometers, that 5-man team has no way to escape our sights. Right. Brolin replied, suddenly opening his eyes, gleaming like sharp knives at Camelot. Camelot slightly bowed. According to the agreement, there's no killing allowed within the Allied army. Brolin said coldly, I too don't want to break the rules, just watch them. The moment they leave the Allied army zone, immediately send a small team and kill them, take all their storage items, understood? Yes, Your Majesty. Camelot said respectfully, I'll arrange for it immediately, okay. Go on. Brolin said indifferently. Camelot respectfully left the tent. At this time a man walked in, kneeling on one leg. He said respectfully, Your Majesty, the 6th big team killed 6 other teams today, up to about 5,000 explorers. They acquired about 2.59 million Thunderstones. Following which, he respectfully handed over a space ring. The 6th big team has done well. Brolin couldn't help but reveal a smile. Tell the other big teams, make them work harder, make use of the time and acquire more Thunderstones. Yes. The man retreated. Within the tent, Brolin held the space ring, weighing it in his hand, revealing an arrogant confident smile. We almost have 10 million Thunderstones. We should be able to exchange for the second passcode. However, since the Thunderstones in the different regions are almost dug clean, what remains is to kill and fight for the Thunderstones. To someone as high up as the 9th Prince Brolin, even if these 2 million people died, he didn't care at all. Born into royalty. His mother's family had been incomparably strong. He had seen too much of the strong eating the weak in the universe. With an order, tens of planets and their civilians could become slaves. With such power, killing these other teams for Thunderstones became a very natural thing for him. As for ordering a team to kill Luo Feng, Brolin didn't really care at all. That little team of 5 were nothing but ants to him. An order from him just results in a few ants being squished. Late night, the winds howled. World within a world, amongst the Allied army. Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder exchanged glances and revealed smiles. Let's go. Luo Feng said softly. The 5-man team swiftly stood up and seemingly casually moved towards the outer areas of the army. Entering the Allied army itself was difficult, requiring identification. Anyone not from any powers or organization was forbidden from entering. Leaving, however, was easy. After all, the large powers constantly sent people in and out to deliver Thunderstones. The number of people entering and leaving was indeed not small. Captain, the 5 of them are leaving. Quickly follow. Quickly. All move faster. The underlings of the 9th Prince had been preparing for when the little team began to move. One had to know that the 9th Prince controlled over 220,000 people. The 7 large teams, each had 30,000 people. And even their small teams were 1,000 per team. As for the surveillance group, that too was a 1,000-man small team that exchanged shifts. Late night, amidst the howling winds, Luo Feng's team flew up and away from the Allied army base. And behind them, a 1,000-man team lifted into the skies too and followed them. Everybody don't be rash and impatient. This is still close to the Allied army base. The moment they enter the base grounds, we will be unable to do anything. We'll first follow, and once a bit of distance has been made, we'll act. The captain of the 1,000-man team was communicating softly to his team. Ahead in mid-air, Luo Feng's team, ha ha, thrilling, thrilling. High in the sky, Thunder God's voice resounded as he smiled with satisfaction. I'm already feeling uncontrollably excited just from thinking about the life fruit and the 2-sector Lord weapons. Before we came here, I was worried too that we'd have problems after exchanging. Hong smiled. Looking at things now, it seems everything went smoothly. First and second brother, after the cloud contact vine's evolution, it'll be even more thrilling. Luo Feng smiled, his heart filled with anticipation. Before, when they were digging for the Thunderstones, they were totally relying on Barbata's initial scans and discoveries of the stones, hence they got so much. And when the 20 million explorer army arrived in different regions and dug up all the other Thunderstones, what followed would be the most brutal and savage massacre period. This point, Luo Feng was definitely sure. Some sector lord underlings were able to exchange for treasures while others were not. Those that didn't would naturally be ordered to kill and rob. In the eyes of those sector lords, even if they lose 10,000 explorers, it didn't mean anything. What's going on? There's a team following us behind. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows and communicated, there really is one. Thunder God creased his eyebrows, they are following us. Are they going to get more Thunderstones and just happen to be moving the same way? Hong said, let's increase our speed and make a turn. Luo Feng communicated, yes, master. Tai Nanhe and Aogu followed his command. When the 5 made an arc in mid-air and increased their speed, becoming 5 beams of light turning left. Among the 1,000-man team behind them, Captain, they are trying to escape. Right now there's about a few hundred kilometers between us and the Allied army. Everybody listen, with the quickest speed chase the 5-man team ahead and kill them. The captain ordered, yes. Yes. Understood. In the dark night, star level 9 explorers dressed in black alloy armors complied to the order, exploding one by one with immense speed into beams of light into the night sky. It was akin to thousands of shooting stars, different speeds madly rushing towards the 5 shooting stars. The shooting stars behind were quickly catching up with the ones in front. They were all star level 9 spirit readers on spirit weapons, much faster than Luo Feng's group. Among Luo Feng's group, only the star level 9 Aogu could compare to them, and he was busy carrying both Hong and Thunder God. Not good, they are catching up. Thunder God's expression changed. Master, quickly flee. Aogu's old face was filled with fear. Luo Feng glanced back. The beams of lights were catching up to them with terrifying speeds, almost instantly closing the distance to less than 1 kilometer. What do we do? Thunder God and Hong's expressions were worried. Tai Nanhe and Aogu, the 2 star level 9 slaves, were worried too. There are 1,000 star level 9 explorers behind. Luo Feng looked down at his arm screen, his heart getting colder. That 1,000 beams of lights were quickly closing in on them. He watched as they were about to be swallowed. In the universe, one never knew when they would use a ship. Even though there was a ship at the Canlan Star docking bay, however, with the money from the first account from his teacher, it was easy for Luo Feng to purchase a few other universe ships. He actually brought a ship. He must have a storage item that's over 100 m wide. Quickly, kill them. The hundreds of star level 9 spirit readers, after their first wave of attack had failed, they immediately gathered their energies and immediately circled their weapons, as quick as lightning going around the universe ship and headed straight for Luo Feng's group. Master, quickly. Quickly flee. Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God swiftly rushed towards the entrance of the ship. Luckily, when Luo Feng took out the ship, the entrance was faced right at them. However, their flying speed was far lower than the spirit weapons. Luckily they weren't too far from it. Quickly. Quickly. Hong and Thunder God's eyes were flushed red. Rush in. Luo Feng's eyes were also flushed. Aogu and Tai Nanhe were the last 2 behind. Those hundreds of spirit weapons made a huge arc and gathered, raining down from behind. Blocking the weapons first was the star level 9 fighter Tai Nanhe, and behind him was star level 9 spirit reader Aogu. Like a rain of arrows, the spirit weapons cut through Tai Nanhe instantly, tearing him like paper. Against hundreds of the same leveled spirit weapons attacking him at once, even a battle axe star level fighter would lose instantly without a doubt. Rumble. Rumble. The external entrance door and the gate within closed, shutting out the external world completely. The universe ship violently accelerated, leaving the group of Star Level 9 explorers far behind, swiftly disappearing without a trace. The blurred silhouettes of the 1,000-man army floating in mid-air all looked as the ship left their sights, helpless. 1,000 people killing 5, and they escaped? The captain, whose face was covered with a beard, raged. How am I to answer to the 9th Prince like this? Captain, you can't blame us. Who knew he had a universe ship, right? A universe ship is at least about 100 m. Amongst the 5 of them, there was one that actually had a storage space that huge. It's unbelievable. Right. The captain nodded. That big a storage space, it is indeed unbelievable. The universe ship was swiftly leaving the center region. Its speed was at least 100 to 1,000 times that of their flying speeds. All of the Allied army's people's appearances and information is recorded. These 1,000 people are underlings of the 9th Prince Brolin. Barbata said, back when Luo Feng first entered the Allied army, when he was resting within, Barbata naturally recorded the basic information of everyone within the Allied army. For example, odors, appearances, strength, etc. Brolin. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows, raging even more within. Why would he try and kill me? I have no grudge with him. It's probably due to the treasures. Barbata said, how would he know I exchanged for treasures? There are people frequently going into the Thunder Castle. Luo Feng was feeling incredibly terrible, especially since his 2 bodyguards, Tainan, he had died, and Aogu also almost died. Man wasn't like plants or trees, he had feelings. Even though they were slaves that he had bought, the voices of them shouting, Master, quickly flee, still resounded within his mind and ears. When danger and crisis struck, both of them used their lives to protect him. Brolin, Brolin. Luo Feng raged uneasily within. It was painful. Luo Feng, don't dwell on it for now. Even though you didn't use the Golden Horned Beast, you still used a universe ship. It's still big trouble. Barbata said, a storage item over a 100 m wide is incredibly valuable. Back when I gave it to you, I told you never to reveal it. This is because these are a special grade of storage items, only a few domain lords have them. And after that battle before, Brolin will definitely keep an eye on you now. Now that he's looking out for you, you'll have trouble watching me? I'm watching him. Luo Feng roared. Brolin? Luo Feng clenched his fists, his knuckles pale, cracking sounds coming from them. His eyes filled with killing intent, raging from within. Third brother, are you all right? Hong, who was beside him, asked, shocked. Taking a deep breath, heavily suppressing his rage, no problem. Luo Feng shook his head. No one else knew, but Luo Feng was very clear that after becoming the Golden Horned Beast, he was affected by its characteristics. Back when he massacred in the killing fields, he felt a huge sense of relief. However, since he relieved himself through that madness, the killing intent within his bones only grew stronger. Just like a strong addictive poison, when he couldn't bear it anymore he would take the poison again and relieve it. However, the addiction would only get stronger. One theory was that Luo Feng was now addicted to killing. And the Golden Horned Beast, as the leading bloodline of the 12 species of space beasts, with its strong offensive characteristics, its cold savageness and brutality, was purely from its bones and soul. No one had ever heard of a kind and gentle Golden Horned Beast. Third brother? Thunder God also walked over. I'm fine. Luo Feng squatted down beside the heavily injured Aogu. His dark red hair was in a mess, his face still pale from the injuries. This made Luo Feng bite down on his lips. Luo Feng looked up at his 2 older brothers. Hong and Thunder God were both old enough to be his grandfathers. Of course they naturally cared about the youngest, pitilessly talented third brother. First and second brother, relax, I won't let my rage take control. Luo Feng said, phew, that's good. Thunder God nodded. We cannot forget this grudge, but we have to remain calm. Just like when your big brother and I experienced the Great Nirvana period before, many humans died and cities were destroyed by the attacks of the beasts. However enraged we became, we still had to bear with it. Compared to that, this little grudge really doesn't mean much. When we get the chance, we'll kill him. Thunder God said casually. Hong nodded too. In terms of experience, Hong and Thunder God were indeed much more experienced than Luo Feng. I understand. Luo Feng nodded. Also, those people were sent by the 9th Prince Brolin. Compared to him, we have no resistance at all. Brolin? Hong and Thunder God were both taken aback. Right. Luo Feng nodded. During the time we wandered around the Allied army before, I recorded everybody's data and appearances with the surveillance device. Those are the underlings of Brolin. That's troublesome. Thunder God shook his head. This grudge will be hard to repay. Hong shook his head. We'll have to bear with it for a long time. Luo Feng was clear too. Brolin, that level of status in the vast Black Dragon Mountain star field, was definitely considered one of the upper echelons. Nan his death, we cannot just let it go too. Thunder God sneered, I don't believe the other powers will just watch as Brolin takes control. After all, from the 2 million army, that Brolin only controls a little more than 220,000. When the battles really begin, we'll get him at the crucial time. Hong Tu smiled, that'll have to wait until the cloud contact vine evolves too. Luo Feng said. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.